Do you love someone with diabetes? Or do you yourself have diabetes? Or have you even just seen the 1989 film Steel Magnolias with Julia Roberts, Dolly Parton, and this all-star cast? If so, take that love you have for your loved one with diabetes, or yourself, or Julia Roberts, and extend it to include people with diabetes in Gaza, because their situation there is very bad. This is Talen. She's 9 years old. She has type 1 diabetes. And even before October 7th, it was very difficult for her being a child with diabetes in Gaza because Israel's siege didn't allow some of the most common diabetes management technologies into Gaza. Things like prick tests and blood glucose sensors like the Libra sensor. Her parents would have that sensor smuggled into Gaza through the siege through Egypt. But since Israel took over, closed, and destroyed the Rafah crossing, none of those things have made it into Gaza. People in Gaza with diabetes have no way of measuring their blood sugar, and the insulin supply there is spotty. Currently, Israel has reimposed a total siege, closing off all humanitarian aid, so no new insulin is coming in. And the insulin that exists in Gaza is mostly expired and losing effectiveness rapidly because it hasn't been refrigerated consistently. And what I've learned this week, as I've gotten to know Talen and her family, is that insulin rapidly loses its effectiveness the longer it remains unrefrigerated. For 16 months now, Talen's parents, Ahmad and Hiam, have been heroically keeping her alive just through managing her diet, guessing at what her blood sugar might be based on how she looks and is acting, and this expired, spotty supply of insulin that is unrefrigerated, and so they don't even know how potent each dose they're giving her is. But the damage to her body from not having a consistent, steady supply of appropriate insulin is taking a toll. Lately, she's been losing weight. She's growing pale. She's showing signs of organ damage because of not having access to the insulin that she needs and the testing that she needs. So I'm fundraising this week for Talen with a giveaway of a signed advanced copy of my book, Genocide Bad. You're going to get it a month earlier than anyone else is going to get their copy. How can money alone help if these supplies for diabetics just aren't even available in Gaza? Well, first of all, right now the family is living in a tent on the shore where it's cold and wet. Talen's body is being stressed by all these environmental factors. If we can raise them enough money, the family can rent an apartment, so at least she's a little more comfortable. And as y'all know, there's exorbitant prices in the market in Gaza where Israel is selling food, price gouging the Palestinians there. Since a huge part of how they're managing her diabetes is just through diet alone, more money means they have more options. They can get the most high quality, nutritious food that's best for Talen. In the first 24 hours since I announced this giveaway, y'all have already raised over $2,500 for her, which is amazing. If you want to enter to win the signed copy, donate as much as you can to her fundraising link in my bio and send a screenshot of your receipt to t4gaza@gmail.com. But this is a case where fundraising alone isn't enough, and this is where I'm asking for like one more step, particularly if you have diabetes or a loved one with diabetes and you have connections to communities organized around diabetes, particularly juvenile diabetes, type 1 diabetes. You're connected to some kind of nonprofit or something. We need to somehow get these like prick tests and blood glucose monitoring devices into Gaza. Ahmad and Hiam, Talen's parents, have been trying to get some kind of international diabetes group to care about Talen and the diabetics in Gaza and to advocate for them and to advocate for the entry of these essential supplies. These supplies are essential to life, but they haven't had any luck. So if you have those connections, please consider sharing this campaign, this video, her fundraiser with those networks, and consider what you can do to put international pressure on Israel to allow in these life-saving supplies for diabetics. Unfortunately, the best chance for saving Talen's life right now is medical evacuation, but the medical evacuation permits that are coming through are all for people with cancer, not diabetics, even though it's also a long-term, chronic, and extremely life-threatening situation in terms of Talen's case. So if there's anyone who can put pressure on those coordinating medical evacuation to also include children with diabetes, please apply that pressure. On IG, I'll be tagging Talen's parents in the comments, as well as Noor, who's organizing her fundraiser. And if you're someone who has contacts in Gaza, maybe someone who knows a specialist in Gaza who can help her, someone who is, maybe you know people who are going to be bringing humanitarian aid into Gaza, and maybe you can bring in the devices and the prick test that she needs. Feel free to get in touch directly with her folks. But if, like me, all you can do is fundraise, we're going to do that. So donate as much as you can to Talen's campaign. You'll find that link in my link tree in the Fundraisers for Gaza section. It'll be the first link. Send a screenshot of your receipt to t4gaza@gmail.com and you'll be entered to win my book. Comment on this, please, so we can get a wider reach. And again, share with someone you know who's connected with diabetes, organizing, activism. Share with people who may be able to somehow help Talen and her family and all the people with diabetes in Gaza. Now, in the first video I made about Talen and her family, I incorrectly said both Talen and her mom had diabetes. That was a English and translation issue. That was my misunderstanding. Her mom just talks about Talen's care and disease like it's her own, because like that's how intensely she feels it. So I just misunderstood that. But I understand the feeling. I mean, my baby has COVID, and yesterday I was like driving all over the city, calling every pediatrician in the city, trying to find who I could get a measles shot from, because she's like due for her measles shot, and the measles vaccine supply is like really low here. So like I understand the feeling, wanting to do anything you can for your child, and I can't imagine how frustrating and difficult it must be to know that there's like very simple medical technologies out there that could save their life and not being able to access them. That is a war crime. That is a travesty, and that is something that should be internationally known and decried by every single medical institution that there is.